I want to talk to you today about dealing with ugly situations. We all face them. The unexpected disappointments, the painful losses, the moments when life takes a turn we never saw coming. Maybe you're in a season right now where things don't look good. The doors you were hoping would open stayed shut. The relationship you thought would last came to an end. The dream you had seems like it's slipping away. It's easy in those moments to get discouraged, to feel like things will never change. But I want to remind you today, this is not the end of your story. What looks like a setback is really a setup for something greater. What feels like a mess is actually the foundation for a masterpiece. See, we don't always understand why things happen, but we don't have to. Our job is not to figure everything out. It's to trust that even in the ugly situations, something beautiful is being prepared. You may feel like you're stuck in a situation that's beyond fixing, but let me tell you, nothing is beyond restoration. Nothing is too broken that it can't be put back together in an even better way. That closed door, it's leading you to something better. That betrayal, it's making room for the right people. That disappointment, it's shaping you, strengthening you, preparing you for what's next. The key is in how you respond. You can let bitterness take root, or you can choose to grow. You can let the situation define you, or you can rise above it. Don't let what you see in front of you determine what you believe about your future. Just because it's dark now doesn't mean the sun won't shine again. And let me remind you, this season will pass. The difficulty, the uncertainty, the pain, it's temporary. You are not stuck. You are not forgotten. You are not finished. What's ahead is greater than what's behind. So hold on, stay in faith, and get ready, because something amazing is on its way. Life has a way of surprising us. Just when we think everything is falling into place, we encounter unexpected setbacks. A dream we worked hard for doesn't come true. A relationship we invested in falls apart. Or a door we were hoping would open remains firmly shut. In those moments, it's easy to feel like we've lost, like we've been set back, like life is unfair. But what if I told you that every setback is actually a setup for a comeback? What if the very thing that seems to be working against you is, in fact, working for you? We often don't see it at the time, but some of our greatest disappointments can lead to our greatest breakthroughs. That job you didn't get, the person who walked away, the opportunity that slipped through your fingers, it may look like a loss, but it's really positioning you for something greater. You see, what looks like rejection is often redirection. What feels like the end is often just a bend in the road, leading you to a better destination. Think about a seed buried in the dirt. If you didn't know better, you'd think it was gone forever, covered, hidden, stuck in the darkness. But what's happening beneath the surface? That seed is growing. Its roots are taking hold, stretching down, preparing for the moment when it will break through the soil and rise into the sunlight. The very process that looked like burial was actually planting. And the same is true for us. You may feel buried by disappointment, but you are not buried, you are planted. You may feel like life has covered you with challenges, but beneath the surface, something is happening. Growth is taking place. Strength is being built. Character is being developed. And at the right time, you will rise again. That setback isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of a greater chapter. One of the most powerful things you can do in difficult seasons is to shift your perspective. Instead of seeing a challenge as an obstacle, start seeing it as an opportunity. Every difficulty carries within it the seed of something greater. If you learn to embrace the struggle, instead of resisting it, you'll discover new levels of resilience, wisdom, and strength you never knew you had. There's a story of a man who lost everything. His business, his home, his financial security. He could have given up, but instead, he chose to see his setback as a setup. He used that difficult season to learn new skills, to refine his vision, to build something even better. Years later, he looked back and realized that what seemed like the worst thing that had ever happened to him was actually the best. It forced him to grow in ways he never would have otherwise. And because of that setback, he came back stronger than ever. Maybe you're in a season right now where things don't make sense. You've prayed, you've worked hard, you've done everything right, but things still haven't turned out the way you expected. It's easy to get discouraged, but I want to challenge you to change your perspective. What if this isn't a dead end, but a detour to something better? What if this delay is actually divine? What if instead of being pushed back, you're being prepared for something far greater than what you originally planned? So don't let disappointment define you. Don't let a single season convince you that the story is over. Keep moving forward, keep believing, keep expecting good things. Your setback is setting you up for a comeback. Doors may have closed, but that doesn't mean new ones won't open. Opportunities may have passed, but that doesn't mean better ones aren't ahead. The best days of your life are still in front of you. There's something powerful about a person who refuses to give up. When you choose to believe that your current situation is not your final destination, you set yourself up for something incredible. You send a message to life itself that you are not defeated. You may be down, but you're not out. You may have been knocked back, but you are getting back up. And when you do, you will see that every struggle, every disappointment, and every delay was not in vain. They were all part of the process, building you, stretching you, preparing you for the comeback that is on its way. You are stronger than you think, wiser than you realize, and more capable than you have ever imagined. Keep moving forward because the best is yet to come. Life has a way of testing us. We all go through moments when we feel overwhelmed, when the weight of challenges seems too heavy to carry, the loss, the disappointment, the unexpected setbacks. Sometimes it feels like too much. But let me remind you today, you are stronger than you think. There is a strength inside of you that you haven't even tapped into yet. You may not see it right now, but everything you need to overcome this season is already within you. So often we underestimate ourselves. We look at the mountain ahead and think, I'll never make it. We face the difficulty and say, I can't handle this. But if you could see yourself the way you were truly created, you'd realize that you have more in you than you've ever imagined. You were built for this. You have been equipped for every battle, every challenge, every obstacle that comes your way. Think about an eagle. When a storm comes, most birds seek shelter, but not the eagle. Instead of running from the storm, it spreads its wings and lets the winds carry it higher. The very thing that was meant to shake it actually elevates it. And that's exactly how you were designed. The storms of life are not meant to defeat you. They are meant to lift you. Sometimes we don't realize how strong we are until we have no choice but to be strong. When life knocks us down, when things don't go our way, when we're faced with challenges we never expected, that's when our true strength is revealed. It's in those moments that we discover the resilience we didn't know we had, the courage we thought we lacked, the ability to rise up even when everything in us wants to give up. Maybe you've been through a situation that left you broken, a loss that shook you to your core, a struggle that drained you emotionally, physically, mentally. And now you wonder if you have the strength to keep going. But let me tell you, you do. The fact that you are still here, still standing, still fighting is proof that there is more in you than you realize. You are not weak. You are not defeated. You may have been knocked down, but you were not knocked out. Look back over your life. There were moments you thought you wouldn't make it through, but you did. There were times when you thought you had reached your breaking point, but you survived. And not only did you survive, but you grew, you learned, you became stronger. If you made it through before, you will make it through again. This situation is not different. The same strength that carried you through in the past will carry you through now. You have to start seeing yourself differently. Stop telling yourself that you're not strong enough, not smart enough, not capable enough. Start reminding yourself of who you are. You are a fighter. You are a survivor. You've already overcome so much, and you will overcome this too. Sometimes life doesn't get easier, we just get stronger. The things that used to shake you don't shake you anymore. The things that used to break you no longer have power over you. That's because every challenge, every hardship, every struggle has built something in you. You may not see it, but you have been growing. You have been gaining wisdom, gaining resilience, gaining the ability to keep pushing forward no matter what comes your way. And the good news? You don't have to figure it all out on your own. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to keep moving forward, one step at a time, one day at a time. Strength isn't about never feeling weak. It's about refusing to let weakness stop you. So the next time you face a challenge, don't shrink back. Don't tell yourself you can't handle it. Instead, remind yourself, I was made for this. I have what it takes. I will not be defeated because you are stronger than you think. And no storm, no setback, no difficulty can change that. Keep going, keep believing, and watch as you rise higher than you ever thought possible. You said, life doesn't always go the way we planned. There are moments when everything seems to fall apart, when our dreams seem out of reach, when we look around and all we see is chaos. Maybe you've faced a season like that where nothing made sense, where everything felt like a mess. But let me remind you today, what looks like a mess is often a masterpiece in the making. Just because you can't see the full picture yet doesn't mean something beautiful isn't coming together. Think about a great artist at work. If you were to walk into their studio in the middle of the process, you might see scattered paintbrushes, unfinished sketches, colors that seem out of place. If you didn't know any better, you'd think it was just a mess. But the artist isn't finished yet. They see the vision, even when others don't. They know exactly how every stroke, every detail, every color is coming together to create something extraordinary. And that's what life is like. Right now, you may only see the mess, the heartbreak, the setback, the closed doors, the unexpected challenges, but that doesn't mean your story is over. It doesn't mean things won't come together. It just means the masterpiece isn't finished yet. So often we judge our situation too soon. We look at a difficult season and assume it's the end, but in reality, it's just a part of the process. The things that feel like mistakes, like failures, like disappointments, those are often the very things that shape us, grow us, and lead us to something greater. If we could see the full picture, we wouldn't be so discouraged. We would realize that everything, even the messy, painful parts, is playing a role in creating something greater than we ever imagined. Think about a puzzle. When you open the box, all you see are scattered pieces. Nothing makes sense. If you only focus on a single piece, you might think it's useless. But when you step back and start putting the pieces together, something amazing begins to take shape. Life is the same way. Right now, you may only have one piece of the puzzle. You may not understand why something happened the way it did, but trust that the other pieces are coming. What doesn't make sense now will make sense later. Maybe you're facing a situation that feels too messy to fix, a relationship that's broken, a financial struggle that seems impossible to overcome, a dream that feels out of reach. But let me remind you, just because something looks broken doesn't mean it can't be restored. Just because something looks like a setback doesn't mean it won't turn into a setup for something better. Some of the most incredible success stories come from people who once thought their lives were falling apart. They lost the job only to find a better opportunity. They went through heartbreak only to meet the right person. They faced failure only to discover a new path they never would have considered otherwise. What looked like an ending was actually a new beginning. And the same is true for you. You may be in the middle of the process, but don't lose hope. What looks like a mess today will one day be part of a beautiful masterpiece. The pain, the struggle, the challenges, they are not wasted. They are shaping you, preparing you, leading you to something greater. So don't judge your life by this one season. Don't assume that just because things are difficult now, they will always be this way. Keep going, keep believing, keep trusting that something good is coming, because one day you will look back on this season and realize it wasn't a mess, it was the making of something extraordinary. The masterpiece was there all along. You just had to wait for it to be revealed. Life is unpredictable. You can't always control what happens to you, the disappointments, the setbacks, the things that catch you off guard. You may face a challenge that you never saw coming, a loss that shakes you, or a betrayal that leaves you hurt. But here's the key. Your response determines your outcome. You may not control the situation, but you do control how you respond. It's easy to let life's difficulties make you bitter, discouraged, or frustrated. It's easy to complain, to feel like a victim, to think, why is this happening to me? But the truth is, what happens in you is far more important than what happens to you. Your response to the storm determines whether you come out of it stronger or whether you stay stuck in the struggle. Think about two people who go through the same difficult situation. One allows it to break them, while the other allows it to build them. The difference? Their response. One focuses on the pain and lets it define them, while the other looks for the lesson, the growth, and the opportunity to rise above it. When life knocks you down, you have a choice. You can either let it keep you down, or you can stand back up, dust yourself off, and say, this is not how my story ends. You can either dwell on what went wrong, or you can shift your perspective and start looking for what's still possible. You can either focus on the problem, or you can focus on the promise that something greater is ahead. Think about a thermostat versus a thermometer. A thermometer simply reacts to the environment. It changes based on what's happening around it. If it's hot, the thermometer goes up. If it's cold, it drops. But a thermostat doesn't just react, it sets the temperature. It dictates the environment. And in life, you have to be a thermostat. You can't just go up and down based on circumstances. You have to decide, no matter what happens, I'm staying in peace. No matter what comes my way, I will not let it shake me. I am not going to be moved by fear, by stress, or by discouragement. The truth is, life will always have challenges. People may hurt you. Things may not go your way. But when you decide to respond with faith instead of fear, with hope instead of frustration, you put yourself in a position to rise above the situation. Look at some of the most successful, influential people in the world. Many of them didn't have an easy path. They faced obstacles, failures, rejections. But instead of letting those difficulties define them, they made a decision, I'm not staying here. I'm not letting this defeat me. I'm not going to let bitterness take root. I will learn, I will grow, and I will move forward. And because of that choice, they came out stronger than before. Maybe you've been through something unfair. Maybe you lost something that meant a lot to you. Maybe someone walked away, betrayed you, or let you down. You can't change what happened, but you can change how you respond. You can let it make you better, or let it make you bitter. You can use it as a stepping stone, or let it become a stumbling block. The most powerful thing you can do is choose a response that leads to victory. Instead of focusing on what's wrong, focus on what's next. Instead of dwelling on what hurt you, focus on what's ahead of you. Keep your heart pure. Keep your faith strong. Keep moving forward. Because here's the truth. This is not the end of your story. What was meant to harm you can be turned for your good. What looked like a setback is actually a setup for something greater. But you have to make the choice. You have to decide, I'm not going to let this define me. I'm not going to let this defeat me. I will rise above it, and I will come out better, not bitter. Your response determines your outcome. And when you choose to respond with faith, with strength, with a determination to keep moving forward, nothing can stop you from stepping into the amazing future that's ahead. There are moments in life when we feel stuck in a difficult situation, stuck in heartbreak, stuck in disappointment. Maybe you've been believing for a breakthrough, praying for things to change, doing everything you can, but nothing seems to be moving. It's easy to feel like you're trapped, like nothing will ever get better. But let me remind you today, you are not stuck, you are being positioned. Just because you don't see progress doesn't mean nothing is happening. Just because you don't feel movement doesn't mean you aren't being prepared for something greater. Too often we judge our situation based on what we can see. We look at our circumstances and think, this is it. This is where I'll always be. But what if the delay is actually divine? What if the closed door is protecting you? What if the waiting season is strengthening you for what's ahead? What looks like being stuck is often just a season of preparation, a time when things are shifting behind the scenes in ways you can't even imagine. Think about a caterpillar inside a cocoon. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening. If you didn't know better, you might think it's stuck, trapped, unable to move. But on the inside, transformation is taking place. The struggle, the waiting, the stillness, it's all necessary for the caterpillar to become what it was meant to be. And at just the right time, when it's strong enough, when it's fully developed, it will break free, not as a caterpillar, but as a butterfly. And the same is true for you. You may feel like you're in a season where nothing is moving, but that doesn't mean you're stuck. It means something is happening that you can't see yet. The job you didn't get, the opportunity that passed you by, the relationship that ended. It may look like a setback, but it's actually positioning you for what's next. The challenge is that we don't like waiting. We don't like seasons where we feel like nothing is changing. We want the promotion now, the breakthrough now, the dream to come to pass right away. But if you rush the process, you'll miss the preparation. If a butterfly were to break out of the cocoon too soon, it wouldn't be strong enough to fly. The struggle inside the cocoon is what strengthens its wings. And in the same way, what you're facing right now, the waiting, the disappointments, the delays, is strengthening you for what's coming. Think about the story of Joseph in the Bible. He had a dream that he would one day be in a position of influence. But before that happened, he was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, and wrongfully imprisoned. If anyone had a reason to feel stuck, it was Joseph. But what looked like delays and setbacks were actually stepping stones to his destiny. Each challenge he faced was positioning him, preparing him, shaping him for the moment when he would step into his purpose. Maybe you feel like you're in a pit right now, like you've been overlooked, like things aren't moving the way you hoped, but don't let that discourage you. What feels like a holding place is really a launching pad. The waiting is not a waste, it's a season of preparation. So instead of getting frustrated, instead of thinking nothing is happening for me, shift your perspective. Start saying, I may not see it, but I know something is happening. I may not understand it, but I trust that I'm being positioned. I know that everything is working together for my good. When you start seeing delays as preparation rather than punishment, you'll begin to walk in peace, knowing that your breakthrough is on the way. The key is to keep the right attitude. Keep growing, keep learning, keep doing your best. Stay faithful in the small things, because how you handle this season determines how you'll step into the next. When the time is right, doors will open. When the time is right, things will fall into place. And you'll look back and realize, I wasn't stuck. I was just being prepared for something greater than I could have ever imagined. There will be moments in life when the pressure feels overwhelming, when the weight of challenges seems too heavy to bear. The disappointments, the losses, the unexpected storms, sometimes they make us feel like giving up. But let me remind you today, the pressure is not there to break you. It's there to make you. The struggles you're facing are not a sign that you're failing. they're a sign that you're growing. Pressure has a purpose. If you look at some of the strongest, most resilient people, you'll find that they didn't become that way in easy times. They became strong because they faced pressure, because they walked through challenges, because they endured difficulties that could have crushed them, but instead those difficulties shaped them. Think about how diamonds are formed. A diamond starts as an ordinary piece of carbon, nothing special, nothing remarkable. But when that carbon is placed under intense pressure, something incredible happens. The pressure doesn't destroy it, it transforms it. It turns it into one of the strongest, most valuable substances on earth. And the same is true for you. The pressure you're under right now, the challenges, the struggles, the situations that feel too much to handle, is not there to destroy you. It's shaping you. It's developing you. It's strengthening something inside of you that could not be built any other way. Sometimes we want the blessing without the process. We want the reward without the struggle. But the truth is, you can't have one without the other. The greatest victories come after the greatest battles. The strongest people are those who refused to break under the pressure. Maybe you're facing a situation that feels like too much. Maybe you're wondering, why is this happening to me? But what if you shifted your perspective? Instead of seeing the pressure as a burden, start seeing it as preparation. Instead of thinking, this is too hard, start declaring, this is making me stronger. This is refining me. This is taking me to a new level. Think about a seed planted in the ground. It looks like nothing is happening. It's buried, surrounded by dirt, under pressure. But that pressure is what activates the growth inside of it. That pressure is what pushes it to break through the soil, to rise up, to become what it was meant to be. If the seed resisted the pressure, if it refused to push through, it would never reach its full potential. And the same is true for you. There is something inside of you that is meant to grow, to rise, to thrive. But it can only come out through the pressure. The challenges you're facing are not there to bury you. They are there to birth something greater inside of you. Look at the story of David in the Bible. Before he became king, he faced pressure. He was overlooked, doubted, chased by an enemy who wanted to destroy him. He could have given up, but instead he let the pressure shape him. He learned to fight, to trust, to grow in wisdom. By the time he stepped into his destiny, he wasn't just a shepherd boy, he was a warrior, a leader, a king. Maybe right now, you feel like you're in the fire. You feel like the weight of life is pressing down on you. But let me tell you, fire doesn't just burn, it refines. Gold is purified in the fire. Stronger steel is forged under pressure. And the same God who has brought you this far is using the pressure to bring something greater out of you. So don't run from the pressure. Don't fight against the process. Embrace it, knowing that it's working for your good. When you come through this, you won't just be the same. You'll be stronger, wiser, more resilient. The pressure is not there to break you. It's there to make you into everything you were created to be. Keep pressing forward, keep believing, keep trusting. Because one day you'll look back and realize the pressure wasn't crushing you, it was shaping you into something more powerful than you ever imagined. No matter what you're facing, remember that tough times don't last, but strong people do. You have everything inside of you to overcome, to rise, and to step into something greater. What looks like a setback is often a setup for something better. Keep believing, keep trusting, and don't let temporary difficulties make you forget the promise of what's ahead. Challenges don't define you, your response does. Choose faith over fear, hope over doubt, and strength over discouragement. What you do in the tough times determines the victory that follows. You may not see it yet, but every struggle, every delay, every unexpected turn is working together for your good. The masterpiece is still being painted, and when it's finished, it will be more beautiful than you imagined. The pressure is not there to break you, but to make you. Stay the course, stand strong, and trust that you are being refined, strengthened, and prepared for something amazing. No matter what comes your way, don't let go of hope. Keep pressing forward, keep believing in what's possible, and watch as doors open, breakthroughs come, and your greatest days unfold before you.